Lauren Fisher, welcome to Hustlers at Home. I have
Thank
been
you.
following your career, girl, for a minute. You are such a badass CrossFit athlete. You're just a badass athlete. So thank you for joining
Thank you,
today.
Robin. It's been awesome kind of following you too on social media. It's like crazy because I was doing Peloton about 6 months ago and like I didn't even know who you were, and then you reached out to me. So I'm super excited to be on here.
Oh, just so great. So
Yeah.
tell the folks, I'm I'm kind of a hybrid athlete. I mean, nowhere obviously on your level, but I have the endurance piece. I used to be an ultra marathoner. I clearly love the spinning stuff, but I love weightlifting. And that's something I really fell in love with in the last, I would say, 5 years. Tell folks who are watching and maybe entering more so through like the cardio space or the endurance space, a little bit about your career.
Yeah, so I'm a 7-time CrossFit Games athlete. This past year, I took third at the CrossFit Games, so I consider myself on the third fittest team on earth. If you haven't heard of CrossFit, it is a mixture of weightlifting, running, gymnastics, rowing, all of it. So basically, I train about 4 hours a day, 5 times a week to be the fittest in my sport. And so it just covers all aspects. You can't have one weakness. So I'm doing it now for 7 years, CrossFit Games, and I'm 26 years old. So I'm like very young still and just getting started.
That's amazing, but you've been doing it for nearly a decade, so.
Yeah, I've been doing CrossFit now since I was 13 years old. So pretty much half my life.
Great. So you were a basketball player, and then what? Was it your brothers who were like, "Come try this weightlifting thing"?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, I was always into sports, and basketball was like my true love. I wanted to go on to play in the WNBA. I played on a very competitive high school team, and I started to get burnt out. And my brothers were like, "Hey, Lauren, we want you to come try this gym. We want to come train with this guy, Vince." And I went, and I immediately got hooked. I think so many CrossFitters these days can like remember their first workout. I can't remember my first CrossFit workout, but I just knew immediately. Like it's constantly changing. Like you never know what you're gonna expect when you walk into a CrossFit gym, which is what I love about the sport. And so from there, I immediately got hooked. And then when I was 18 years old, senior in high school, I went on to compete in my first CrossFit regionals. And then from there, like my career kind of took off.
Wow. So what aspect of training for the games do you love the most, and do you hate to love the most? Like, it's a love-hate relationship. Even the worst workouts, we kind of love a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, games training is like no other. I think for me, like I love the lead up to the CrossFit Games. I just know it's summer. We compete in August. So for me, my favorite parts is when we get to go outdoors and we get to do kind of like run, swim, run workouts, just kind of preparing for any triathlon event that might come up at the CrossFit Games. So that's my favorite part. And also just getting to train with my friends. Like we're all training for the CrossFit Games at the same time. And then probably least favorite part is that, I mean, it's brutal. Like you're just so tired all the time. So for me, like I can't, like I'm just completely tired. And by the end of the day, I can't really do anything after training. Like I just have to take a nap or go sleep just because I'm just so tired. And I don't think people realize how hard it is to train for the CrossFit Games. It looks like a lot of fun. Like we get to train for a living, but it is so hard. You're constantly putting in for training, nutrition, sleep, recovery, all of it. Like you have to make sure it's dialed in. So when you do go to the CrossFit Games, you're 100% at your peak.
I have no doubt about that. You mentioned that you train 4 to 5 hours a day. So when people ask me this kind of question all the time, and it's kind of like, how do I even sketch this out for you? But I'm going to ask you because I'm curious. What is like a typical week, leading up to the games and all those variables that you just mentioned? So it's clearly like your training blocks. Do you break that up? Do you have a nap in the afternoon? Then you go back? Like what's the framework?
So usually train from 9 to 11. I'm very lucky that I have a good group of people that I get to train with. So everyone meets at the same time. We all know we're training from these times. Train from 9 to 11, and usually that's more aerobic based. So we do running, rowing, or biking, and then mixed with gymnastics maybe to finish. So some sort of like accessory work. So working on our weaknesses, and that'll probably take about an hour to 2 hours. So imagine we go to the track and we run around like 6,000 meters. If we're on like a bike, we're biking maybe about 20,000 meters. It just really depends what we're doing. We're training high intensity, lower intensity, pretty much all different like heart rate zones and all of that. And then and the afternoon is more CrossFit style. So we do start off with weightlifting, and then we go into a Metcon, so our workout for the day, and then finish off with some accessory work, just because we want to make sure that we're healthy and can keep competing. And so a lot of people neglect their accessory work, and we make sure to prioritize it. So consider it like kind of like bodybuilding style training. That's what we do to finish off our training. So CrossFit is like training all different types of sports into one. And that is around 2 hours, and also including warm up, cool down, all the talking with my friends. That's why maybe it takes a little bit longer, because we're having fun and laughing and joking and all of that. So yeah, about 4 to 5 hours a day. And then, yeah, in the middle of those sessions, I probably go home, eat. I also work on my company, Grown Strong. So, and then I go back to the gym, and then come home, sleep probably because I'm exhausted, and then probably start working. When most people maybe go home from work, then I start working actually on my business.
Tell us about Grown Strong.
So Grown Strong is a female empowered company inspiring women to be strong and confident in all aspects of life. We have fitness programming, we have apparel, and it's just about inspiring women to overcome any obstacles they have in their current life. And so I feel like fitness has been such a huge part of my journey, and I really want to empower women to be strong and to understand it is okay to lift weights. Like, you shouldn't be intimidated by a barbell. You shouldn't be intimidated by having a few muscles on your body. So I like really want to preach
yes.
that message. Yes.
I feel like I part of my life's mission is to dismantle the bulking myth. I'm just like, we're still talking
about this. I'm like, geez, I cannot get over it. It's like, and one of the things I think too, a lot of people think, like, when they look at CrossFit Games athletes, they immediately get intimidated. Like, I don't want to look like that, but also have to remember that's like hours and hours of training, and also the nutrition you're putting into your body. Like, if you're just training around 30 minutes to an hour a day, you are not going to get bulky. You're going to get toned. You're going to lose body fat. You're going to get that body you've always wanted. So I just hate when women think, oh, if I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to get bulky. No, that is far from the truth. It's actually so good for your body, so good for your joints and everything. And I just want women to understand that. And I'm sure, like, you can 100% relate with it too. Like, hey, strength is healthy. It's confidence. It's all of that.
Oh my God. I say that, you know, when you're putting up weight, I mean, and the weight that y'all put up, it just, I just marvel at what you do. I mean, truly. But, you know, you put anything, your body weight or above, on your back and do anything with that, you're going to feel like a badass. Like, that's like, get out of bad relationship, hire a publicist, form an LLC, and get shit done. Like, that is the kind of confidence that gives to people. So I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, just kind of proving to yourself, like, mentally, like, hey, you might not look like you can lift that barbell that's 300 pounds, but proving to yourself, like, you need to mentally tell yourself, hey, I can lift that weight. Because if you have any negative thoughts at all, like, you aren't going to lift it. And I think, like, when you do set that PR or personal record, like, that to yourself is just so, like, it's just confidence, it's empowering, it feels good. And I just, like, want so many women to understand, like, hey, you can have that too.
Yeah, 100%. And how has training changed for you this year? I mean, obviously everybody had to adapt in some ways. What was it for you?
I mean, pretty much all of my competitions are canceled or postponed. I had about 4 competitions leading into the CrossFit Games, and obviously those are sanctionals to qualify for the CrossFit Games, which is like the pinnacle of our sport, competing to be the fittest on earth, a lot of prize money on board. But all of those competitions leading up to it got canceled in March. So it's been a really rough year. And then I found out that there was going to be a competition in August that Rich Froning, who's 4-time fittest man on earth, was putting on for the team athletes. That just got postponed to end of August, and it's still tentative because there's a lot of international athletes who compete in our sport. So they're unable to travel. So I'm not too sure if that's even going to happen. So I'm still training, but it's just kind of been at a standstill with everything going on. I'm hoping that I get to compete, but I just think this year in general for all athletes is very tough. I'm so used to just kind of my life revolves around training and kind of just shifting a little bit, but it's been very good for me to kind of focus more on my business, getting everything in my life organized. Also, I just found out, or not found out, but my fiance and I postponed our wedding. So just kind of, that was kind of just, everything is just kind of a blessing in disguise in a little bit of a way, just because we're finally able to get organized in those other areas we never had time for.
Yeah, it's true. So, I have to ask, because CrossFit has had some tumultuous times recently with, the comments by the former CEO. What's, as an athlete, obviously, who reveres and respects the sport and loves the community, how did you feel about all of that? That has to have been unsettling.
It was definitely unsettling just with everything going on. There's definitely been kind of a past with the former CrossFit CEO and things that he's said in the past. And obviously, as a woman in the sport, it was very unsettling. And for me, it's just like so hard because CrossFit has done so much good for me. So I don't think that one person should represent the sport as a whole. Obviously, they are the CEO and the person everyone looks to just kind of how they should be running things. So for me, that was very unsettling. I'm just happy the changes that were currently made. Now there's a new CEO, Eric, coming in, and I feel like there's so much good that's going to come out of it. And I'm really excited for like the future of CrossFit, just because the past 2 years have kind of been like back and forth. We switched from like a regional format to a sanctional format, and just for athletes, it's been very tough. And I even know like a lot of CrossFit affiliates are struggling right now just with COVID and everything going on. So like, I'm really excited. I think it's great for the affiliates. It's good for the games athletes. And I think there's an exciting future ahead for CrossFit.
Okay, well, that's inspiring. I've never been I was a part of a CrossFit box back when I was a lawyer, and then I joined a different private training facility called Fort in New York. And I understand that the fabric of the community can be so vibrant and really inclusive, but we obviously have a ways to go in wellness in general, and athletics in general. So it's encouraging to hear that changes are made, from the top down at the organization.
Yeah.
So in the mind of an athlete, what is it like when you know that you're going to be at the games in an arena of, I don't know, 50,000 people with the strongest women in the world? Do you have a pre-game ritual? What is like your vibe?
I mean, this is like what we compete for. Training is obviously brutal and fun. Like, you should enjoy the process, because if you don't enjoy the process, then it's going to be a long road to the games. But like, getting to the CrossFit Games is obviously the pinnacle, and it's literally, there's nothing like it. The adrenaline, your heart is pumping. You're obviously nervous. A lot of people think like we don't get nervous, but we do. So you need like, I've been in the sport for years now. Like, you need that pre-game ritual. You need to be visualizing like weeks ahead of time, months ahead of time. It's like in the preparation to the CrossFit Games, you should be visualizing like any competition you have, like how exactly are you going to feel in that arena? Like, what are you going to be ready for whatever workout comes across the board? Like, you just need to be like mentally and physically ready. So for me, it's visualization. And then obviously, right before, I'm putting my headphones in, putting on my favorite music playlist.
What music? Tell me what music.
Music, I listen to a mixture of rap, EDM music. I definitely want to get something that's more like pumping, more vibrant, gonna get me going, like get me excited and like just fired up. So definitely a mixture of rap and EDM type music. And then, so yeah, music playlist, and obviously the week leading up to it, I get my nails done every time with my friends.
I love that. You got to sweat with swagger, honey.
Yeah, exactly. So we always make sure there's some sort of glitter nail too, because glitter is always key to sparkling during competitions. We got to look good, feel good, all of it. So yeah, pre-game competition, getting my eyebrows done, all of that. And then obviously the day of competition, headphones in, completely zoned out, not worrying about anyone else, visualizing whatever workout you're about to do. Like, it's just like constantly going through your head, how are you going to pace that workout? Like, how are you going to attack it? What's your strategy? And just focus, not worrying about anyone else that's around you. That's kind of my pre-game strategy, all of it.
I love it. So your fiance, Rasmus Anderson, is also a CrossFit Games athlete. Did y'all meet competing? I imagine you did.
No, we didn't meet competing actually. So, well, he's from Denmark, but he came to America to go to English school, which is right next to the gym that I trained at, CrossFit Invictus. And obviously, CrossFit Invictus is very well known in the sport of CrossFit, like in San Diego. So obviously, he kind of planned his English school around coming to that gym. And so we met at the gym. And when I first met him, I didn't even know how to pronounce his name correctly. Completely like ignored him just because like we have our group at 1 p.m. who's kind of like OG people. And then this new guy came and I'm like, who is this training with us? But then I got to know him a little bit more. And then he asked me via Facebook message to go see the movie Hunger Games. And then from there, like things kind of took off, I guess.
And he's lucky because that's a trilogy. So he's like, I'm going to get multiple dates out of this over the years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Who's more competitive?
Oh, we are both so competitive, but I think it has to be me. Like just growing up with 3 older brothers, like it was not an easy upbringing. Like my whole family is so competitive. Like just even when we were doing some pre-wedding dance lessons, well, now those got postponed, but I was like even competitive to the dance teacher. I was like, how do we compare to the other people that you've been teaching? And then after Rasmus is like, why do you have to be so competitive with everything, even like dance lessons?
You're like, if this were Dancing with the Stars, what would be my score?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so great. What do you think is the biggest misconception about a CrossFit athlete?
I think the biggest misconception, I touched on it a little bit earlier, is that a CrossFit Games athlete has it easy. We get to train all day, all of it, but it is a full-time job. Like you literally are dedicating your whole like life to it. You have to make so many sacrifices throughout the season. Like there are going to be times when you don't go out with friends, or maybe you don't go out with family because you have training the next day. You literally have to dedicate your whole life to it. And like, it's not always all fun and games just because like we constantly have to think about our competitions we have coming up. I know like if there's a holiday and I have a like for example, around Christmas, there's usually a competition like December 15th or so, right after Thanksgiving. And I know that Thanksgiving dinner, I can't fully like stuff myself like everyone else, like, hey, I have a competition coming. So I think it's just a lot of sacrifices. It's a lot of hard work. There's going to be days when it isn't easy, lots of days where it's not easy and you wonder why you keep doing what you do, but you just kind of have to keep your head down, have that discipline, write down your goals, and just keep going after like what your dreams are. I mean, any athlete can relate to what I'm saying. Like there's going to be so many sacrifices in your sport.
Do you have any kind of like mantra or like inner, you mentioned goal setting. Do you have what other kind of practices do you have in that regard?
Yeah, I think goal setting is journaling, just simply like writing down your daily workout. Like I just love just writing down like what I'm going to be doing for the day, like my AM and PM session, seeing that, and also maybe writing like, hey, this is what I want to work on today. And maybe writing at the end of the day, like, what did I take away from like today's session, just so you can kind of look back and see how you progress over the months of training. So I think just little things like that, like writing a small goal for the day, like today, I want to hit this in my snatch. So I want to hit 180 pounds, and then going into that training session, like visualizing it. So same thing, that just prepares you for that big competition. And then at the end of the day, writing down like, what was the takeaway from today? Like, what could I have done better? And also kind of writing down how I approach each workout. And again, that's just ingraining like how to exactly approach a workout, how to pace it, how to strategize. So when you get to that competition, you know exactly, like you've been preparing for this whole like time leading into the CrossFit Games or whatever competition it may be.
Mm-hmm. What was when I look at, documentaries and stuff and the games that end up streaming whenever they come back again, I marvel at the weight y'all are putting up. Like when you first showed up with your brother at that first CrossFit workout, were you just like picking up 300 pounds and throwing it around? Like, no. I just don't even understand.
Yeah. No,
what was your progression like?
That's another misconception. I think a lot of people look at CrossFit Games and is like, how do I even get there? Like they must have been lifting that heavy weight since they were like a baby practically. And that's far from the truth. When I first got started, I could barely snatch like 85 pounds. I remember my first CrossFit regionals, there was a snatch ladder. It started at 105 pounds and the ending snatch was like 185 pounds. And I was nervous I wasn't going to hit the first snatch weight. I think I had made 105 pounds and I missed 115 pounds. That was when I was 18, so about 8 years ago. And now I can not easily, but clear the ladder, but I can snatch 185 pounds. So there's definitely a progression. I think a lot of people think that they just need to like add all the weights onto the bar and think they're going to get strong, but it's constantly dialing in technique. Like I knew I had a really bad split jerk, and I just constantly dialed in technique with a PVC pipe, with a barbell, practicing my footwork, drawing out little chalk lines to make sure that my feet went into the right place. And so I think just people need to focus on technique rather than focusing on load and intensity, especially for those newbie CrossFitters getting into it, because it's like if you have bad form, you're not going to be able to lift those heavy weights. You really got to dial in technique earlier, get a good weightlifting program, and I promise, like both those things combined, you're going to get stronger.
And what would you say to someone who maybe isn't familiar with CrossFit, but is curious about strength training in general? What do you say to that person who has maybe never picked up even a dumbbell?
That's one of the things why I love my program within Grown Strong, is because we kind of have a progression. So we have our most basic program, GS20, it's fully body weight. And then maybe you want to take it up one step notch. We have GS30, it's only dumbbells, a pair of bands, and jump rope. So we see a lot of women come into our program who've never really done strength training, and they start off with the body weight and they're like, okay, I think I'm dialing this in. Then I'm going to go up to GS30. It's only dumbbells only, and then they can even take it a step notch higher to GS60, which then you maybe start working with a barbell, but it's no Olympic weightlifting. And then our most advanced program, GS60 plus, it has Olympic weightlifting. So a lot of girls who come into our program intimidated about strength training, intimidated by a barbell, they kind of work their way up through the progressions, which is what I would recommend anyone to come join Grown Strong Fitness, but for me, like I want to make it approachable for anyone. So I think if you're just getting into it, starting out with dumbbells, starting out with just like most basic stuff, and then kind of working into it as you get more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. That's a good, I just love your message. You've posted recently about body image, and just, I think I love that you are both unapologetic, but also vulnerable and acknowledge kind of, I can't even imagine the nonsense that you get in your DMs, because I get some nonsense too, girl.
Yeah, it is crazy, just the amount of it's just some people don't really understand what you do. So I get those negative comments and it fires me up sometimes. So then that's when I like to post about it and just be like, hey, it is okay to have like tummy rolls. It is okay to look a certain way. Like I think a lot of people have this image about athletes, like you don't have any body fat, you have to have 6-pack abs, you have to be super lean. But like, hey, I do have that stomach roll. Like it's healthy for your body, healthy for women to have. Like otherwise I would be completely burnt out and not able to sustain my type of training. I would get injured. And so that fires me up. I love speaking about body image, about it's okay for everyone to kind of look a different way. Like we're all made in our own unique image and likeness. And so yeah, those type of topics fire me up. I love talking about it on my social.
Yeah, hell yeah, they fire me up too, and I love talking about them on your social too. So now is your opportunity to put the host in the hot seat. Do you have a question for me, Lauren?
Yeah, Robin, I wonder, how did you get to be a Peloton instructor? Because I think that is so cool, and I have no idea how people get to work with Peloton. So I want to hear, like, how did you become an instructor?
So I read an article. So I was a lawyer, and then I became an ultra marathoner, and then I wrote a book about running. And during that time, I was going to spin class as like my fun kind of cross training cardio day. And I got my spinning certification, and I was teaching at a local facility when I started writing my book. And I read an article about our CEO, John Foley, and I was like, oh my gosh, this company is it. This is going to be the future of fitness. And I reached out to the company, and I was hired a few days later. There was just a lot of synergy there. And then fast forward a few years, I was promoted to vice president of fitness programming and head instructor.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I do believe that we've amassed a team of superheroes, and it's somebody who has a passion for their modality and an expertise in that modality. But it also is, it's kind of like hosting a television show while also, doing sprints or picking up weights or doing a yoga flow. So much like your expertise, it's layering a lot of the pieces and then seeing them come together in the beautiful final product.
Yeah, that is awesome. I mean, I love my fiance and I have a Peloton bike at our apartment building. So like when we can, it's fun to just hop on and do like a quick bike session. And it's hard. They're tough. Like, so I love like what you guys are offering. The second question for you, I'm looking to write a book. How did you get started writing your book?
Oh, great question. So I think I had a unique situation where I kind of stumbled upon a book agent, but the classic process is creating the book proposal. Now in the age of social media, and you have a social media presence, so it's perfect. It's really showing showing the whole marketing pitch or a little bit of the marketing pitch in addition to the substance of the book. So it's like yourself as a personality, yourself as a brand, and then what is the meat and potatoes? What's the table of contents of the book? What are the main little blurbs? It's almost as if you're like writing the skeleton of it. And I thought that book proposal process was actually really exciting. And then once you get the book deal, you just plug and play, right? Especially if it's nonfiction or memoir based, and you're not creating characters out of whole cloth or something. Yeah. But that was my journey. So it was a book agent approached me. Yeah. Then it was writing the book proposal and shopping it around to different shops. But people are self-publishing, and there are a lot of ways to get your art in the world. But that's a traditional way, and I had a really good experience with HarperCollins.
How long was the process to get your book from like start to finish? How long did it take?
That process was also unique for me. So I got approached by National Geographic to go to the Serengeti and trek the Serengeti. Wow. As part of the show, Migrations. 2 weeks before I'm supposed to leave, the book agent was like, okay, so we have the book proposal in a bunch of these shops. It looks like there's going to be a bidding war. And I was literally going to get on a plane to go to Tanzania, and I was going to be off the grid, no phone. No, nothing. I was wearing the same clothes and underwear for 6 weeks. So I just gave my agent the keys to the kingdom, and I was like, okay. So that I get back from the Serengeti 6 weeks later, and she's like, you have about 2 months to submit this book.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think I got back in July, and it was 3 months, and I had until October before I had to have my first draft. But I kind of liked that, because it was like, there's no screwing around, just like get it done.
There's no going back. Yeah.
And this was all stuff I knew, right? So, and it was already a lot of stuff I had in the can. It was like running training programs, running motivation, my story. But yeah, it was like ripping the Band-Aid off, because if they would have told me I had 2 years, I would have taken 2 years, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Last question, if we have time. I was going to say, favorite place you've ever traveled to. Obviously, Tanzania is on my bucket list.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I want to go back in a different vein. Although trekking the Serengeti was epic for sure. I plan to go to either Greece or St. Bart's with my husband this summer. That obviously got canceled. But my favorite place that I've ever been is honestly the Maldives. I went with my husband for our honeymoon, and it's one of those things that it's like, okay, yeah, Maldives, beautiful, overwater. It's like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not overrated. It's completely worth it. So Cheval Blanc in the Maldives is embedded in my brain. It's the most, besides Burning Man, it's the most magical place I've been.
Yeah, my fiance and I actually have been to the Maldives when we lived in Dubai.
Did you love it?
Yeah, we loved it. It was literally, it feels like you're almost in like the movie, or you just see all over like Google, all those pictures of the little like villas over the water and all of it. And then you get there and it's just like crazy out of this world, but it's like so beautiful, so peaceful. Yeah, Maldives is one of my favorites. Yeah.
So that was, and do you vacation? Do you like to vacation for adventure? Or are you like, I like don't leave my chair. I'm like, I like to work out in the morning and then I'm chilling all day. That's my vacation vibes. Are you gonna go for an adventure?
We're vacation to adventure. Like we're literally nonstop. It's like from start to finish. Okay, what's our next thing we're doing? Like we're biking, we're doing snorkeling, like any sort of adventure thing. Like that's my fiance and I.
Blessed. And I probably did that when I was 26 too, but not anymore.
Uh,
Oh, it's so awesome. Listen, Lauren, I am so grateful you were able to join Hustlers at Home today. Where can folks find you if they're not already part of your ecosystem?
Yeah, so I have a website, lauren-fisher.com, where they can find out more information about me in general. They can find more about my brand at grownstrong.com. They can also follow me on Instagram at Lauren Fisher, or they can follow my brand at Grown Strong on Instagram. I'm also on YouTube, Facebook, kind of on TikTok a little bit, not really, and then Twitter. So yeah, they can definitely find everything about me at lauren-fisher.com.
There you go. That's the catch-all. Well, thanks, Lauren. Sending you lots of
Yeah.
love. And whenever you do compete, I will be cheering you on for sure.
Thank you so much, Robin. I had a lot of fun being on. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.